When Donald Trump openly threatened tariffs against countries resisting his push for control over Greenland, the Arctic debate stopped being abstract. What had long sounded like strategic bravado suddenly became a real stress test of how far the United States might go in 2026 to redraw boundaries inside its own alliance. What began as talk of security and rare earth minerals has hardened into a confrontation touching trade, military posture, and the internal cohesion of NATO. On the ice itself, Europe is no longer treating Greenland as a remote outpost. Germany, France, Sweden, Norway, the UK, and others are now rotating personnel through a Danish-led Arctic operation that turns Greenland into a visible symbol of European resolve. These are not massive deployments, but they are deliberate. The signal is unmistakable. Any attempt to coerce Greenland will be met not just by Denmark, but by a coordinated group of allies prepared to defend territorial integrity inside the alliance. Diplomatically, the gap has widened rather than narrowed. Danish and Greenlandic officials leaving talks in Washington have spoken openly of a fundamental disagreement. For Copenhagen and Nuuk, sovereignty and self-determination are red lines. For Trump, anything short of U.S. control has been framed as unacceptable, with the White House pointedly refusing to rule out coercive tools, including military pressure. The real wildcard, however, may be inside Washington itself. A bipartisan group of U.S. lawmakers has gone to Copenhagen, publicly signaling that Trump does not speak for the entire American political system. At the same time, Congress is advancing legislation designed to block U.S. funds from being used to seize or coerce the territory of any NATO member, language that would make a Greenland move legally explosive. The paradox is striking. A sitting U.S. president hinting at tariffs and force against an ally, while members of his own party work with Democrats to tie his hands. For Europe, the challenge is deterrence without detonating NATO from within. For markets, the risk is that a trade conflict layered onto an Arctic security crisis spills into supply chains, energy prices, and investor confidence. In that sense, Greenland has become a litmus test for the post-war order. If this ends in negotiation, expanded basing rights, economic deals, and a stronger NATO Arctic posture, it will show institutions still work. If it escalates, Greenland may be remembered as the frozen island that nearly cracked the alliance from the inside.